let's move on to another, let's say, wild horse, and that was Vidit, who was back and forth. At times, it felt like he was in contention. At times, it felt like everything is slipping away from him. Started off in incredible fashion with, tame draw in round one against Gukesh, but after that, a victory with the Black Pieces against Hikaru, losing in round three against Pragnananda, and that was basically the trajectory of his whole tournament, back and forth, up and down. Very wild player. How would you assess his level of preparation? And how would you assess his overall performance? And let's talk about the time management of this particular player as well, because I feel time management is a factor that we should discuss for each individual player.
Yeah, so yeah, Vidit is an interesting case in this tournament for sure. But so first of all, he came with one of the largest teams. He came with two coaches. He was also there with his sister. So he came with
Surya
a team of
and Vocaturo, Surya Ganguly and Vocaturo. I would assume both of
yeah,
these players were his long time, let's say, coaches. We know that he
yeah,
was
yeah.
training with
Actually,
Vocaturo for a while.
they're both excellent players and theoreticians. So Surya, I kind of know,
Mm-hmm.
and he's quite experienced in terms of being a coach. He worked with Vichy, for example. And Daniele Vocaturo is an Italian grandmaster. We played on the same team many times. I played him many times in the Italian Championship. He's not only an excellent player, but also quite excellent in terms of theory. And he has a very classical approach. Like he's a standard sort of E4 put pressure in the main lines player. And this is why I wasn't surprised that Vidit was sort of this was his like playing E4 and um trying to play in a principled manner. This is actually both Surya and Daniele Vocaturo's approach to opening, so that's not a surprise. You can kind of see like the influence of coaches a bit, especially with him. So I was not at all surprised to see him playing E4.
Yeah.
Now I remember seeing the team after the second game when he beat Hikaru, like absolute overjoyed, which is very understandable. The best possible start you could get. Like first you draw with black against Gukesh, then you win with black against Hikaru. You could not ask for more.
Mm-mm.
Well, I mean, technically you could, but
Yes.
but I guess that's about the
You
best you can
get too
realistically
greedy.
ask for.
Yes, absolutely.
And then third round he's playing Prague, and Prague plays an opening which is absolutely absurd. I mean, it is borderline just losing on the spot in the opening, like on move four, and it's known. But somehow Prague wins this game. I mean, it wasn't a good opening choice from Prague, but okay, it worked out. It's one of those things where I'll be critical, even though the result did work out. And Prague is an excellent player, so of course, sometimes the results will work out even if he's playing doing things which are objectively too risky. And F5 on move four
Mm-hmm.
is objectively too risky. So for Vidit, I think this start, like the first three rounds, was exactly like the rest of his tournament. It's just he wins a good game, he loses a bad game. And he's definitely fighting very well for his chances and getting chances. And then some unfortunate mistakes in critical moments are costing him sometimes half points, sometimes full points.
Yeah, let's talk
So
about your
I
encounter with him. First encounter with Black Pieces, played the Rosalimo,
yeah.
got
Well,
worse position.
so yeah, so my game against him was basically that he just outplayed me for almost the entire game. Like just there's nothing else to say. He got a slight advantage from the opening. Maybe the line I played was a bit too risky, and I didn't approach it so accurately. And then I got a slightly worse position, and then he outplayed me. And then I missed this move Queen G3.
Yeah.
And after that, I'm dead lost. And okay, maybe I found like a good practical chance with Queen A7 because I was already like, what do I do here? Do I just resign or or what? So at least I found like a good practical chance. And then I think he had about 12 minutes to find the win. Now, like it's what I told him after the game. Like you play King C2 or C1. I forget which move I said, King C2, C1.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just bring your king to the king side. This is what we were discussing after the game. That's what I was worried about. And then he plays this Queen A5. It's like, okay, you either win the game on the spot or you don't. Because Queen E5, like if I play Rook A1, I resign. So what does Black do? So I was like, what am I missing here? I played Queen A4. And what he told me he missed was that queen b8 can be met with bishop d8,
Hmm.
which is some sort of blindness, but a very strange moment of blindness. Um, and
Of course, king d7 loses on the spot after bishop c3, I guess. Bishop c3, king
any
e6,
bishop move is mate in three.
queen e5. Yeah.
And bishop f6, mate in three, right?
That's a very strange thing to miss, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that this is basically like the lack of increment made him get worried about time trouble. And there were still 14 moves to go, so he was like, okay, just play fast, don't get it down to second. Like play something fast, you'll win.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if someone had told him at that moment, like this is the last difficult moment you'll probably have in this game. If you play the right move, you'll probably win regardless of how low you get on time. If you play the wrong move, it will be an immediate draw, and that's it. And yeah, that's the story of this game. He let me off the hook, and there's like several moments like this you can point to, like against Jan, such a critical game. It was actually like uh, he played a very important role in the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
It 3 rounds in a row, or like maybe it was not 3 rounds in a row. But there was this game against Gukesh he lost. Very good game by Gukesh, very poor game by Vidit. I think it was probably like Vidit's poorest game,
Mm-hmm.
and Gukesh played like an just excellent game. I mean, basically no mistakes, just outplayed and beat very cleanly. So this is one critical game. And then he beat Hikaru, another very critical game because Hikaru was starting to like creep ahead in the rankings. He had just beaten me, and then suddenly Vidit beats him.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent game from Vidit, very poor game from Hikaru. So it's kind of reversed. And then he played this game against Jan, which after this game I was like so upset. I think you remember,
Yes, of
uh,
course.
because I was thinking like, okay, I'm starting to like fight back in my tournament, but Jan winning like is almost like dooming me.
Right.
So I wasn't even thinking like Gukesh is the biggest problem at the moment. I was thinking Jan, he wins this game, he's on +3. Like what can I possibly do to fight back now?
Well,
And
I
as it turns out,
want to say that at that point, after this particular game, you were trailing both Jan Gukesh. I'm trying to remember whether you were trailing Hikaru as well, or it was just
uh wait, what were the last? Let me try to remember. So in the last round, I'm tied with
because
Jan and Hikaru.
I
In the
think you were
previous,
trailing Hikaru as well. Hikaru by half a point, Jan by 1 full point at that point.
I was definitely trailing Jan by a full point. Was I trailing Gukesh by a full point? I don't think so. I think half a point.
I want to say you were trailing Gukesh by a full point as well, but I might
So
be
this was
wrong.
round 9. So it was like Vidit beat Hikaru, which means that I was tied with Hikaru. I drew Nijat, right? Oh, no, no, sorry. No, that was when Vidit beat Hikaru. Then I beat Alireza, and then I drew Gukesh. So I was on +1 at that moment. Hikaru went to +2. He was
Plus
half a
two.
point
Mm-hmm.
ahead. Jan went to +3, and Gukesh, I think, was also +2. I don't think he was +3
Mm-hmm.
because he was +2, and then he beat Nijat, and then he beat Fruja, and he went to +4. So I was trailing Gukesh by half a point and Jan by one. So Jan was still the biggest like issue in the tournament, right?
Yeah.
He was the one who was leading,
Yeah.
clear leading.
Yeah.
And that game against Vidit was one of the biggest like roller coasters. I mean, so first of all, from the opening, I was thinking Vidit is just going to get crushed. I mean, I saw his position after like G6. I think this was around the time I ended my game, and like all of White's pawns are weak. Uh, Vidit is down to 27 minutes with 20 moves to go. Jan has like a full hour. I was like, then he sacks a pawn. I was not understanding what White's idea is. Obviously, Vidit did have an idea, but um, and it was actually not a bad idea, but it looked super, super risky for White.
So you
And
felt
then
at this
suddenly I go
point
back to
that
my hotel room.
Jan is creating a lot of separation.
Yeah, well, okay, like Jan wins the game, he's +3 hours. Like this is not going well. Then suddenly I go back to my hotel room. Vidit's winning, plus
Yeah.
4.
Yeah.
He has to play knight takes d5, a move which basically neither player considered
Yeah.
because it sacks a piece, but then the pawns and the king are just too strong. It's a bit surprising. So it's understandable, but it is a clean win. Like it's just GG.
This
It's
was
over immediately.
move 37. Vidit still had 6 minutes on the clock. And yes, if you calculate correctly, you played the move knight to d5. Knight takes d5, take c4, take on c4, rook takes a3, rook takes a3, bishop takes a3, and now I think an important move was f3, if I'm not
I
mistaken.
think king b5 also wins, but
King
f3 is like the
b5
cleanest.
also wins. Yeah,
I
quite
think like f3 is the cleanest because then you don't like allow the possibility that you lose your f2 pawn. Um, and I was like +8
yes,
according to like a strong engine.
yes.
I think so, but then king b5 was also winning, I think, and then e4 you play c4, which I understand because then you there's like
It's a
a4 and
race.
then it's a race and you win. It's not a clean win. So there was no easy win for him in this game, but he was winning objectively. And then okay, he plays king c2, then we have like an objectively drawn position, some kind of like fortress for both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but I had a bad feeling. I when did I tell you? Oh, when he played knight g3, I was
Yes.
like, oh my God. I was like, he's gonna lose the game after knight g3. We were watching the game and I
Mm-hmm.
said like, there's no way he survives this anymore, even though it's zeros,
Yes.
because I saw that the rook goes to b3 and
Mm-hmm.
suddenly black plays a4, a3, and you can't really stop it so easily.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, well, maybe he's holding around the time that he played like king takes a4. I was like, okay, well, he got rid of this a pawn and he's now up a pawn. So what are the chances you lose? And then he played this bishop g3. And I was thinking after bishop g3 that after knight c3, he is certainly going to take on c3, king c3, bishop b8, king c4. And I didn't understand the endgame, like how white draws,
Mm-hmm.
but computer says it's draw. So,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so Vidit will find it somehow.
Right.
And then he plays king a3, another heart attack. And then like knight b2, I think we actually like heard he had lost before the moves came in because there was delay, but we heard that he had lost, right?
We saw Jan, and I think somebody told us that Jan won.
Yeah, somebody told us.
Somebody from the media room told us that Jan
Yeah.
won. But yeah,
So
this knight to b2, after which the game is pretty much over.
yeah, so Vidit is like up and down. I have to say, objectively, he never had realistic chances to win the tournament. He was too unstable. He had I don't know. I think he'll be very upset with the overall showing. It wasn't terrible. I mean, objectively, he scored -2, I think. It's disappointing. He had some bright spots, but he really did not ever have a moment where he can say like I was winning this tournament. So, and I don't think I ever felt like he was the one to catch up to or to beat in this
Yeah.
tournament. So that was Vidit's tournament.